Okay, it looks like the majority of folks have joined in and please continue to join in. My name is Tabitha Enoch. I am one of the Associate Deans of Students here at the University of Virginia. I am excited to say hello to all of you all online. I hate that I can't see you, but we are certainly glad that you're here. I get the opportunity to work with our incoming students through our orientation and new student programs. And we're delighted to welcome you. One of the things that we've done this year, in addition to supplement our in-person experience, is we're offering these webinars so that people can join in from wherever they are in the country or the world to get some good information to supplement some of the orientation that you experience in July. Hopefully, most of you have been able to register for a session in July or the session that happens right before school begins in August, so that we can all get to see you and talk with you. But tonight, this is our third session of Wednesday webinars that I like to call Wednesday Webs. It feels like cool talk when I say that. And so we are going to get you all of the information that you need about education abroad. One of the things that I find that happens is when I meet students and their families at the beginning of orientation, there's so many students who want to study abroad. When I ask them what is one of the things that they're looking forward to, they want to participate in education abroad. So we are here tonight to give you all of the information that you need to know to just begin to explore that journey. You're still early in your career here. So we've got Margaret Walters from our International Studies Office, and Margaret is an expert in this area. And so Margaret, I will turn the mic over to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. And thank you, Margaret, for facilitating the session for us tonight.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm delighted to be here. It is, again, too bad that I can't see all of your faces, but I hope to see many of you, for the students who are joining us this evening, in our office at some point throughout your time at UVA. So again, thank you for joining today. My name is Margaret Walter, and I'm here to talk to you about education abroad. In the International Studies Office, which is the office that houses education abroad opportunities, we want all incoming undergraduates to know about that there's an enormous breadth of education abroad opportunities across locations, terms, subject areas, types of experiences, costs, and more, which means that there's an opportunity for you. I myself studied abroad as an undergraduate long ago. I was fortunate to spend my junior year, I did not attend UVA, but my third year in Madrid, Spain. I was also able to work in London for a summer and then also travel a bit more in grad school and for work. I've been at UVA since 2015, and I was in international education before that. And I'm just one of a whole team of advisors here who's here to support students' plans, to support your plans. So with that, let's get started. If you have questions during the presentation, if you could please enter them into the Q&A box, and I'll review questions and we'll go over them at the end. So what do you need to know about education abroad? I'll start by sharing some of the reasons, many reasons why you or your student should participate in education abroad. I'll highlight some of the many programs that are available to UVA students. We'll also talk about what kinds of support students can expect from UVA. We'll talk about the International Studies Office. We'll talk about finances and scholarships, health and safety. I'll finish up by explaining how you can get started. And again, then I will answer questions. So I'm going to jump right into why we know education abroad is so important. Education abroad is, in its element, an academic pursuit. So the first benefit is tied to your academic experience at UVA. Education abroad will give you the opportunity to gain an international perspective on an academic field. Not just foreign language and culture studies, but STEM subjects, American studies, all fields have the opportunity to experience new approaches, new ideas, which in turn fosters your growth and development in any field. You can focus on your major or minor while you're abroad. You can focus on a foreign language or pursue studies in another area of interest altogether. You can take the opportunity to become proficient in a foreign language. Of course, language immersion is one of the best ways to learn. In terms of requirements and advancing towards your, through your degree progress, it's possible to complete major, minor, and for students with a foreign language requirement, those language requirements abroad. You'll secure the appropriate approvals when you apply to study abroad. For now, since you are early in your career here at UVA, it's not too early to start talking to your academic advisors about how education abroad is going to fit into your academic career. So make sure that as you meet with people, as you are planning your courses and thinking about your major and minor and what your academics are going to be like here at UVA, make sure to tell folks about your intention to study abroad and how that can then best fit in. Throughout this presentation, I will highlight resources that are available on our website. Our website is educationabroad.virginia.edu. And so here I've put a little note that we have a page. It's education abroad in your major or minor, or just your major for short. And this is a page that we've developed. It's quite lengthy on our website that has suggested programs, academic considerations, student testimonials, and other organization organized by school and by major. Of course, you don't have a major yet necessarily, but you can start to then poke around at what programs might be a good fit for the field of study or fields of study that are of interest to you. You're not limited to the programs that are listed in the your major section, but it can be a helpful starting point when you're thinking about the intersection between your chosen or intended fields of study and an education abroad experience. So another element or another reason that we feel that education abroad is so beneficial to students is the opportunities for growth, for personal growth, and to prepare students then for the workforce, really regardless of field. So studies have found that after an experience abroad, students demonstrate an understanding of themselves and their ability to cope and adapt, which leads to greater self-confidence and independence. They understand, respect, and appreciate cultural differences and can adapt to different cultures and interact effectively with people from different cultures or backgrounds. Other characteristics that students report include increased flexibility and creativity. So regardless of the job, employers are looking for candidates who can demonstrate strong communication skills, can understand those different contexts and viewpoints, and to show cultural sensitivity. Speaking a foreign language is also a compelling skill, if that would be applicable in the job area. When someone sees study abroad on your resume, also, you'll probably be asked about it. So what did you learn? What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? Education abroad can give you a wealth of experience to draw on in interviews. Upon your return from abroad, there are resources to help you figure out how to best convey the value of your experience to employers and graduate schools. So this really the opportunities, again, for personal growth, for the development of skills, knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are beneficial in the job place, and then also just the level of interest that we see employers have in students who have studied abroad, and talking about that in the interview process can be quite beneficial. We also know that, as I said at the very beginning, there's a program for you. We really strongly feel that there is a program for everyone. Education abroad offers a unique opportunity for a type of global experience that's really only available to you while you are a student. So we'd like to emphasize that absolutely everyone can study abroad. We've listed out here some of the students. I know we've heard athletes, engineering and STEM students, students in nursing and pre-med, students who have financial concerns or have special accommodation requirements. Well, maybe I can't do this. There are programs, again, there are programs for everyone. There's a program for you. We, Education Abroad advisors, can help assist students in identifying a program or programs that's going to best meet their needs. We also have a section of our website dedicated to the kinds of things to think about when choosing a program. And that includes things about identity, academic considerations, timing considerations. That's in our Choose a Program section of our website. We also have an advanced program search function that allows users to filter by location, term, type of program, language, field of study, and a lot more. So in addition to using these resources, the key really is to be proactive and to plan ahead. So again, I'm going to say it's not too early. It's not too early to start thinking and talking about how to incorporate education abroad into your time at UVA. The sooner you start the conversation, the more time there is to set your goals, research programs, and plan for your experience. So next, I'll highlight a few of the many programs that are available to UVA students. We have over 50 exchanges, several dozen faculty-led, so UVA faculty-led programs, and then a few hundred approved what we call outside programs. So these are non-UVA programs. They're operated by a host university overseas or a program provider. There are just many programs to choose from. So I'm going to highlight just a few here today. So first we have UVA in Valencia. This is one of the longest running programs that we offer. We're actually celebrating our 10,000th students in Valencia this summer, and it's going to hit its 40-year anniversary here in the next year or so. While the language and culture track, you can see the various focus areas, is really the backbone of the program. There's a breadth of other less traditional offerings, including engineering, sport, pre-health. Excuse me. We have a variety of subject areas available to students on the Valencia program. The type of the credit type that you'll see there, that is direct credit. So these are our UVA credits that students are taking while abroad. And they count the same as if you were taking classes here on grounds in Charlottesville. You just happen to be in Valencia. So there's a little marker on the student's transcript that says that they're abroad in this semester, but otherwise the courses are UVA courses. They count towards GPA, fulfill requirements, that kind of thing. The terms available, you can see summer, semester, and year. The Valencia program has homestays for students, which is a really wonderful way, especially for language immersion, cultural immersion, really understanding kind of what daily life is like in the host city. So that's the housing. And then there's a center for the students in Valencia and their program staff that support students throughout their time there. The cost for the program, when you look at information on our website, you'll see that UVA programs will usually have their own budget sheets. And so on these budget sheets, we essentially have information that's similar to how Student Financial Services publishes UVA cost of attendance, which is this combination of billed tuition and fees, and then estimates for other expenses. We're going to have a similar model. And then in terms of comparison for in-state students, a semester in Valencia tends to be comparably priced. And for out-of-state students, it's actually less expensive to be in Valencia for a semester than to be here in Charlottesville. Another program to highlight is an internship program that we offer. We actually have a variety of internship programs in around the world. The one that I've highlighted today is in Morocco. And it's possible to do an internship program without credit and still fall under sort of the education abroad umbrella, but UVA internship programs have an academic component. So you're providing or you're getting sort of additional context and information for the internship that you're doing. So you have your internship work, and then you have this connecting coursework that you are completing. And you can see for this program, it's really an interdisciplinary program with lots of sort of different fields of study that are tapped into for the to connect into the work that the organization that this internship program is connected to does. This is another direct credit program, and it is based in Marrakesh, Morocco. It's a summer program, so we do have a number of summer programs that are UVA programs or UVA faculty directed or led. These programs, students on this program are in shared apartments close to the organization where they're interning, with support from the organization. And the cost for the program, again, is a similar model to Valencia, in that it's got its own budget posted on the website. I'm going to have a different type of program now to highlight. This is an exchange program. So we had a UVA program, a UVA internship program. We know internships are very appealing for students. This is an exchange program. So this is going to be a semester or year opportunity. We have, again, over 50 exchanges. This is a new exchange focused on STEM fields. So again, highlighting the fact that there are opportunities for students across a breadth of backgrounds and fields of study, in particular for this profile. But the exchanges that we have, again, we have over 50. They have a wide range of subjects represented. A lot of our exchange partners are larger universities that, again, offer a breadth of topics. This program, all exchange programs, are transfer credits, so students work with their department and school ahead of time to identify the courses that they want to take abroad and receive approval, pre-approval for what they plan to take. And then that transfers back afterwards. It is based in the Netherlands. And again, exchange programs are for semester or year. Exchanges are really great opportunities for students who want to understand and experience what it's like to be just at another university. So students will engage with other international students, but then also with students who are at the university for a full degree, who are local to the area or that country. So there's a lot of opportunity for engaging with peers in the classroom, in clubs and activities. If they're in campus housing, some exchanges like this one have kind of a couple of different options of whether it's in university sponsored housing or identified independently. And then the support comes from that host university. With exchanges, then students will actually continue to pay their UVA tuition and fees. And then what's different is sort of the other kind of expenses in that estimate of non-billables, which again includes things like airfare, visas if that's needed, course materials, personal expenses. But the billable fees are actually their UVA tuition and fees, whatever they would normally pay to UVA based on their school and year. So I've talked about a few of the reasons why you should participate in education abroad, the types of programs available, and I'd like to give you some information about the resources that are available to you as you plan for an education abroad experience. So the International Studies Office is charged with facilitating education abroad at UVA for UVA students, which it does alongside supporting incoming students and international students and scholars. We are located on the second floor of Meyer Hall, which is by the amphitheater. If you have not been to grounds yet, then that may not make a lot of sense, but it will, I promise, very soon. Within the ISO, again, there's a team of us education abroad advisors who are responsible for advising students who are interested in study abroad, as well as managing some of the UVA delivered programs. We each have a geographic and a school-based portfolio. So if any of the students in the audience are interested in programs in Africa and the Middle East, you and I will likely be talking together. Similarly, if anyone here participates in a School of Architecture program, really regardless of location around the world, then we will be working together as those are in my portfolio. I also have the pleasure of working with the London First program, which is a really unique opportunity for incoming first years to spend their fall semester in London and then come to grounds in the spring semester in January. So education abroad advisors, we're conducting appointments on Zoom and in person. You can sign up for an appointment on our website. You could even do that now. We do have some availability over the summer. And we're also available by phone or email. We're happy to talk to students. And again, as we keep saying, it's never too early to start. planning and thinking and having conversations. So as questions come up, we do want you to reach out to us. We do host a range of events annually, including we have walk-in hours at a student center in one of the libraries. We have 2 study abroad fairs. We have a parent session during family weekend. So for any parents or guardians in the audience, if you are coming to family weekend in, I believe, late October, we'll have a couple of sessions there. And then we also host or visit classrooms throughout the semester, host information sessions about particular programs or opportunities. So we really try to be sort of visible and available and bring opportunities out to students. You may be interested in hearing from another student, so a peer who has participated in education abroad. We know that that's very valuable to hear from a fellow student about their experiences. Returnees are a great resource for getting a peer's perspective on a particular location or program. So if you wanted to do that, to connect with a returnee who was studying in a country that was of interest to you, or you saw that they came from the school that you're in, or studying something similar to what you think you want to study, then these are students who have indicated that you can reach out to them to just have a conversation about their experience. We do have interns in our office. You'll see them around grounds. Promoting education abroad. Anyone in the college, if you take a COLA class this fall, you may see an intern giving a similar presentation to this in your class. We have more information about us on our website, and on the homepage, you're going to find quick links for making an advising appointment, connecting with returnees. You'll see information about upcoming events, and we'll talk about one of those in particular in just a few minutes. So there are lots of program options available to students, and as I've briefly outlined on the slides about the individual programs, different options or different programs have different associated costs. One study abroad myth that we do often hear is that summer is shorter and the programs cost less. So if I'm worried about finances, I should study abroad in the summer. And we've got this chart. This is from our website. And as you can see, if you take a look in the semester column, depending on the age you normally receive, semester may actually be better in that there's more portability of your existing financial aid. There's more that you could take with you. So this is why it's important to use the tools that are available, speak with advisors in your family, plan ahead. We do have scholarships and other financial resources for students across the terms that are available to study abroad. So planning ahead will also help you have time to apply for scholarships, including especially for the summer. There's a special grant for January term programs abroad. So there are resources that are specific to financial resources that are specific to education abroad that we do encourage and support students applying for. We have a section on our website, a finances section, that has tools for comparing costs, lists of scholarships, information about using financial aid abroad. Some of the things that we want to make sure that students and their families are aware of in terms of study abroad and financial aid. Existing financial aid, again, can often transfer to your program or be used for your program if you go during this semester or year. Depending on the program, for out-of-state students, you might find that your cost of attendance for a semester abroad might be less than it is here at UVA. There are scholarships specifically for education abroad. So the International Studies Office alone administers over a dozen awards and offers one common application for one of them. So again, we want to make financial resources accessible and available for students. So for the awards that we administer in our office, we have a common application so that you do one application and you're considered for as many of those awards as you are eligible for. We also have a new program, new as of last year, a passport grant program. So that is to award funds covering the cost of either a new or renewed, if you've never had a passport, or you need to get your passport renewed. If you are a Pell Grant recipient, then you would simply indicate that in your education abroad application, and we will work with Student Financial Services to issue a grant to you, covering again the costs of that passport, so that is something that one more sort of means of supporting students financially who are trying to go abroad. I'll talk briefly about health and safety. All student travel, international travel for university related purposes is governed by a university policy. Students need to register with our office and enroll in UVA's International Health and Emergency Assistance Plan. It also outlines how travel to different parts of the world, to perhaps countries with higher alert levels by the U.S. Department of State or other entities, how that is sort of managed and reviewed. All students, UVA students who study abroad, are required to enroll in CISI insurance. This covers medical care abroad as well as emergency assistance. All students on education abroad programs complete a series of online modules before they go abroad about health and safety, daily life, culture and identity, and other important topics. For UVA programs, health and safety matters that are specific to the host location are also discussed in a pre-departure meeting and in program materials. I talked about outside programs. So again, those are programs that aren't operated by UVA, but that are on our approved list that our students can participate in. They will typically have their own pre-departure and or on-site orientations as well. COVID restrictions worldwide are loosening. We sent students abroad again starting in summer of 2021 on a limited number of programs and locations. And this summer, we have supported the first faculty-led summer programs since the pandemic started. So in their pre-departure preparation, students can expect to receive guidance around monitoring conditions and managing travel as it relates to COVID, but we are very happy that travel is resuming. We do have a health and safety section on our website as well, and that has more information about what UVA does to support students abroad, as well as links to some other helpful resources. So to wrap up here, and then I'll take a look at the questions that are coming in. What do you do next? How do you get started? And again, even though we are here in July and it's going to be another month and a half before your first semester at UVA has officially started, there are a number of things that you can already get started on. And I'd encourage you to do so. So you've heard why we think education abroad is so important. You've seen a small sampling of programs. You know that we're here to support you. But what do you do? What do you do from here? So here's basically how to get started. The first thing really is very big picture. You want to set some goals and include in those goals a commitment to including education abroad in your academic career while you're at UVA. And even the practice of setting goals, this is very sort of preliminary. They will probably change, and that's fine. Right now, you want to be thinking about, if I were to be studying abroad now, what would that look like? Where would I want to go? What would I want to study? What kind of environment do I see myself in? Am I in a classroom at a local university? Am I in an internship where I'm spending, a certain number of hours a week at a local business or organization? Am I doing field research? Am I in a big city or somewhere more remote? Think about kind of all of those elements that you might think about when you think about study abroad, and start to identify just what you want to accomplish. And then looking at what your goals are and what you want to accomplish and where you see yourself, then we can really start to work with you and identify programs that could be a good fit for you. And again, making a commitment is part of that, saying, okay, I'm starting this process now. I know we're really just starting the conversation, but I am going to really work to see this through while I am a student. And I will say that we often have students who study abroad once and then kind of get bit by the bug and want to go again. And that's absolutely possible. We have a number of students who are kind of repeat study abroad participants. And so that commitment can kind of go can go farther than just one January term or summer or semester. And that again can sort of shift and change as you navigate again your major and other elements of your time at UVA. Something else that you can do now, and parents and guardians can do this as well, is to watch the Education Abroad website workshop, which is on our website. And that has some more detailed information about program options, finances, the application process, etc. We also, again, I've mentioned throughout that we have a number of resources available on our website for students and their families to review. We have a whole section about getting started, post-workshop checklists. So if you take the workshop, kind of, again, every time you get more information, it's sort of what do you do next? Finances and scholarships, how to apply, things like that. We also have events, as I mentioned, on our website. So something else that you can do now is mark your calendars. On Wednesday, September 7th in Newcomb Hall, we will be having a study abroad fair. This will be the first fair that we have first fall fair that we've had since fall of 2019. So we're very excited to welcome students. We typically have a mix of UVA faculty directors, as well as some outside program providers, host institutions, and others coming together in a really quite large space, just to provide lots of resources. And it's a great way to kind of shop around and talk to some folks and pick up some information and learn a little bit more about options. You want to start to identify some programs of interest. And again, same thing with the goals, knowing that can change. And that's fine. But again, we have a whole section about sort of what to think about when you're choosing a program, and then an extensive program search to identify programs of interest. And then talk to people. I've mentioned this already a couple of times. Include your parents and guardians in the conversation from the beginning. Make sure that they know that this is, again, something that you want to do while you are a student. You can, again, book an appointment to meet with one of us. And I've talked a little bit about our sort of the fact that we have regional portfolios, but you also can talk to any one of us to have an initial conversation, and we'll make sure that you get to the right place. You can ask questions and discuss programs and locations, any sort of questions that you, or any questions or concerns or things that come up, you can certainly send our way. And then you should also be speaking with, again, your faculty advisor or association dean to let them know that you want to pursue education abroad while you're at UVA, and that will help facilitate academic planning in that context. So one bonus step that's not on this page is to get a passport if you don't have one yet. I mentioned that for Pell Grant recipients, we do have the passport grant. There are also opportunities, typically each fall, there is a week called Global Week, which is at the end of October, early November. And there's often a passport drive where students and faculty, staff, anybody really can come and apply for a passport. We'll have people from either the Department of State or the Postal Service who's able to receive applications. So there are a number of different mechanisms to support students in getting a passport, and we can also just certainly talk with you about what that entails and point you in the right direction in terms of what you need to do for that. If you have a passport, it's also not a bad idea to check yours and make sure that it's got some good number of years on it still. So that is really kind of the end of the formal presentation. I see that I do have some questions coming in, so I'm going to see if I can get the questions to pop up here. And let's see. All right. First question, is it feasible for a biomedical engineering major to go abroad? And the short answer is that yes, it's possible for students across pretty much every field to go abroad. For biomedical engineering, you may find that you have some very specific and it's just a few opportunities. We are very fortunate that the School of Engineering has a couple of people within the school who work with international programs and they can advise engineering students specifically about your options and what those look like. They have a lot of information on their own website too. So they have their own engineering, study abroad website for engineering students. So I'd also encourage you to look there in addition to reviewing the resources on our website. But yes, students in the engineering school do have options for education abroad. The next question is the budget. Okay, so it's asking whether the tuition, so talking about, I talked about budget sheets and the fact that UVA programs will often have their own budget sheet, which is going to have its own tuition and fees for sort of the billable costs, and then estimates of other expenses, again, like airfare and personal expenses and so on. So if you were to go abroad during the semester, so if you're looking at for example, UVA in Valencia semester program, and you look at the fall semester budget sheet for that program, that's not in addition to your UVA tuition, your usual UVA tuition, it's instead of. So what you're looking at when you're looking at anything that's during sort of the regular terms, so during the semester, for UVA programs that have a budget sheet, that's what you would pay instead of what you would pay to be at UVA on grounds. How can pre-med students plan around fulfilling pre-med requirements? So that's an excellent question. There are actually folks within the Career Center who advise pre-med or pre-health students around degrees, working towards their pre-med requirements while they are completing their degree at UVA. And they do have a number of specific recommendations about what to do, what not to do. We do have a couple of programs that are developed, that are UVA programs that are developed specifically for pre-med or pre-health students. One in St. Andrews, Scotland, and then one track in Valencia, Spain. So there are specific options, but you're also, again, not necessarily limited to those options. So I would recommend, again, similar with the biomedical engineering student, and as I've said, I think throughout the presentation, it's just really important to communicate with people from the beginning that this is what you want to do, and then we can identify a program that's going to be a good fit for you. But we definitely do have students who are pre-med, pre-health, and study abroad. If students can spend up to a full year abroad, can you do one semester in one program and the following semester in a different program? Yes, that is something that we do see students do. Typically, the primary challenge that we just need to see if it's going to be any kind of snag or not is around visas. So for example, if you are in France in the fall and spring, France in the fall and Spain in the spring, how you would get your Spanish visa while you're in France, if you can do that, and how would be a question that would need to be answered. But I actually recently worked with a student who spent his fall semester in Morocco and spring semester in France. So absolutely, that is a possibility to kind of mix and match, again, with planning ahead to make sure that we have everything kind of in hand. If you do study abroad, would you only be able to take the courses offered in that area for that semester? I'm not quite sure, and you're I think the question is, can you only take, really, I mean, when you have, so if you study abroad for a semester, the type of program that you participate in is going to determine the courses that are available to you. Some programs are really pretty structured and everyone takes the same set of courses. Those tend to have a really specific topic focus or some kind of component like field study or research or something like that, versus, exchanges or attending just a host university where you have really often the full sort of catalog of courses available to you. So it's going to depend what you can take in a given semester abroad is going to depend on the program and the courses available in that program in that time. Okay, how much education do you need to meet the language prerequisite? Okay, for example, so Valencia, a couple of the Valencia programs have a couple of different requirements, but typically you do need to have some background in Spanish language. I think up to the 2000 level up to the 2000 level. But you can see that on the program page, you can see what language level is required. If you haven't had formal like consecutive semesters of study in a language, but you have other experience in that language, if you speak it at home, for example, or if you've done a little bit of kind of stop and start, then sometimes what you can do is have a conversation either with the program director or with the other program staff to figure out if it's going to be a good fit for you to do some kind of base level assessment of whether or not it's going to work. And then again, if you have that conversation early enough, then there's time to, take a language course over the semester before or summer before or something like that to try to bump that up if you need to do that. But we have some programs that do have, a year or two's requirement of language study to participate. And other programs, even in countries where English is not the primary language, where you don't even necessarily have to have a background in that language, but often in both cases, you're taking some kind of language course so that you can, communicate a little bit and make some of those connections with people and to that culture while you are there. Is it feasible for a second-year transfer to go abroad? Yes. So transfer students, I would also put in that same category of can I go abroad? Third-year transfers tend to be more at sort of the max number of transfer credits that can come in. But this again is a situation where it would be a conversation with you specifically. How many credits have you transferred in already? How close are you to any maximum that your school of enrollment has? Again, that's typically 60, but not always. And what programs are you looking at? So if you were to take away the element of the transfer element, what's the program that feels like the best fit for you? And then we can look at whether or not that specific program would work. And if not, then maybe we can find, again, a direct credit program. Any direct credit UVA credit program is a great option for transfer students because they aren't transfer credits, they're UVA credits. You just happen to be taking them in Morocco or Spain or anywhere else, just not here in Charlottesville. Do you need to participate in a study abroad program in order to receive the grant for a passport? So the way that the passport grant program works is that we have it's tied into the program application. So you open an application to an education abroad program, and in that you indicate if you need a passport and if you receive the Pell Grant. If you were to plan to go abroad and it didn't work out, you would not have to refund that grant. But the intention is that you are planning to study abroad. There is sometimes with the Global Week, I mentioned that there's sometimes a passport drive with Global Week. Sometimes there are other scholarships that are not tied to the education abroad application in the context of that event. And students are contacted for that if they are eligible and if that takes place. Another question, if we do a semester abroad, do we continue paying tuition and housing at UVA? So again, if you are, it depends on the kind of program that you are on. So if you are on an outside program or a UVA program, then you're going to pay the tuition and fees for that program. If you are on an exchange, you will continue to pay your UVA tuition and fees, but not housing. If you use on-grounds housing and you go abroad for a semester, Housing and Res Life actually has a mechanism for you to indicate that you are going abroad in a particular semester and release you from the contract for that time. a rising third year student who transferred from PVCC, so from Piedmont Virginia Community College here in Charlottesville, what options are available for students who transferred into UVA? So I talked about this a little bit already. Really any program that is a UVA direct credit program, so especially summer programs, January term, but some semester programs as well, such as Valencia, would be typically a good option for transfer students. But again, depending on the number of credits you've transferred in from PVCC, we can have a conversation about whether or not there's any space for a transfer credit program. And I talked about the program search that we have on our website, and the type of credit is one of the parameters that you can filter by. So you can say, I'm only interested in direct credit programs. I only want programs, show me programs, only programs where I'm going to be earning that UVA direct credit abroad. What does the application process for study abroad programs look like? How would the process differ for an architecture student program versus a general program for another major or area of interest? So great. One of the next steps that we have here on the slide is to watch the Education Abroad workshop, and that does go a bit more into the application process as well. But essentially, you are, depending on the type of program, you may do either 1 or 2 applications. If you're applying to a UVA program, then you would open that application on our website. We'll ask you some questions about you, your academic history, your interest in the program. There's an essay. And we'll also be looking at the same time at things like disciplinary clearance from the Office of the Dean of Students, academic eligibility, and a number of other factors. So we're reviewing kind of your eligibility to study abroad at the same time that you're being reviewed for a spot in the program. For outside programs and exchange programs, you still apply through our office for that approval to study abroad and that assessment of eligibility and things like the transfer credit form, where you indicate what courses you plan to take and how they're going to transfer back. But then you also would apply directly to that program or to that exchange partner university for a spot on their program or at their institution. And those are the things that we talk with you about in the application process and that you receive guidance on. You asked specifically about an A school or an architecture school study abroad program. Architecture school programs are UVA programs, so you would complete the 1 application where, again, we're reviewing both eligibility to study abroad, and then the faculty director would be reviewing you for a spot on that particular program. Architecture school does also have some, especially for semester programs, some very specific guidance for study abroad, and we'll be having an architecture specific study abroad evening in the fall semester, sometime typically kind of around Thanksgiving, not over the break, but kind of around that sort of late November time to share more information. Okay, the last question that we have here is, can the Virginia prepaid tuition be used to pay for study abroad or exchange? That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. That is something that we consider as the Virginia prepaid tuition plan as an existing financial resource. The 2 things to know about using the prepaid tuition is really a critical step, and another reason to plan early will be to contact the plan administrator for your plan. So whoever you go to when you have questions about the plan, to let them know that you or your student is planning to study abroad. They're probably going to ask you how the program is billed. And so going back to the fact that different types of programs have different costs and different methods of payment. For UVA programs and for exchange programs, you continue to pay UVA. So you continue to be billed by the University of Virginia. Again, for exchanges, it's your just consistent ongoing UVA tuition and fees. For UVA programs, it's whatever the billable costs of that program is. But in both of those cases, you are billed still for tuition and fees by UVA. For outside programs, you are billed by the program provider or the host institution directly. It's typically simplest for and most possible for programs that are still billed by UVA. So that might recommend a UVA program or an exchange program. But again, having a conversation about what that is going to look like in your particular situation in the earlier stages of looking into programs and options is going to be a good idea. So that is the end of the questions that I have here in my Q&A. Let me see quickly. It looks like we have just a few minutes left. I don't know if we want to wrap up now or see. Oh, I see one more just came into the chat here. If you spend a semester abroad, are you considered to be moving off campus and therefore not able to join campus housing selection for the next year? Okay, another good question. So again, if you use on grounds or on campus housing and Res Life, which is the office that manages housing at UVA, they have a way for you to indicate that I'm going to be abroad in either the fall semester or the spring semester. But then you can go back and apply if you're abroad in the fall for spring, or if you go in the spring, you could then apply for housing just as usual the following fall. We also share with them then the list of students who are going abroad, so that again, in the best interest of everybody, so everyone can be on the same page, who is studying abroad, so that they can see of the students who use on grounds accommodation, who's on that list. But they have, and it's posted on their website, how you can indicate to them that you are going abroad, but then still be able to come back and continue to live in on grounds housing afterwards, following the instructions that they have. We do have on our website it's a Google sheet, essentially, where students who are on off grounds accommodation can list the particulars of if they are looking to sublet to or from someone while they're abroad. We know that housing, off grounds housing in Charlottesville is very competitive, and often students are planning well in advance. So that's just a informal forum where students can try to connect with and find each other if someone's again trying to sublet from or sublet to for off grounds accommodation, and make those arrangements around their semester abroad. And I don't see any other questions at the moment. But thank you all so much for joining us this evening. And I hope that you have feel like you have some more information about education abroad, and you have some sense of the kinds of opportunities available. But really, if I could have one final message to bring home, it really is that it's never too early to start the conversations, and we are here and eager to talk with you about your interests and your plans. And I hope that we will see some of you in September at our Study Abroad Fair, again on September 7th. And in the meantime, we also have a table if anyone is coming to Charlottesville for summer orientation in person. I'm sure many of you are. We have a table at the resource fair. So we'll have a number of materials to hand out, including some parent and guardian specific resources as well, to make available to you. So thank you again.